Everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the We're Going 5 podcast, powered by TSH Tennis. I'm Yusuf.
Hi, I'm Ismail.
Hey guys, I'm Haroon.
We have so much to talk about this week, but we have a different episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about the one and only Rafael Nadal. It was Rafa week, and we want to end it with a tribute to the one and only legend. We have so much to talk about. We're going to talk about the match. We're going to talk about the ceremony. We're going to talk about his achievements, our memories of Rafa, earliest memories of him, and so much more. First off, Ismail, let's talk about his match. Rafa's last match, played against Botic in the Davis Cup. How did that one go?
Yeah, my first emotions were I was just sad. You know, it was just sad to see him watch him play his last match. I've never rooted for Rafa so hard in my life, and that's the ironic part about it because he was in front of me all these years, and I was so used to rooting against him, and here I was finally rooting for him, and it was tough to watch because you can see he's not physically where he was. Botic also at times was playing really well. He was playing out of his mind. Even at times he was serving incredibly well, and he was really overpowering Rafa. This is not the time. I was like, what are you doing, Botic? I think we were all watching. Botic, stop. You're torturing us all right now. Just end this. Go back to losing. This is Rafa's match. He's not supposed to retire against the Netherlands in the quarterfinals of the day. No, he's supposed to retire on top. It's Rafa. And it was just a little bit hard to watch. But you know what? I like, you know, even though Rafa was struggling and he was down in the first and he kept going down breaks in the second, till the last second, I thought Rafa was going to come back. That's what Rafa has made us used to his whole career for the past 20 plus years. I'm waiting for Rafa to come back. I had no doubt. I did not believe that he lost until it was over. I thought he was going to come back.
No.
I had no doubt he was. I really thought Rafa was going to come just because of what Rafa has made us used to. But I'm just sad to see it end because
it was over.
It was painful to watch.
That was painful to watch.
It was hard.
There was no hope. That was just a guy saying goodbye. That was last. He had nothing left in the tank. He has nothing left. He gave us everything.
He gave everything.
And I love Rafa, and I've believed in Rafa my entire life. But that match was a sign like, okay, he gave everything he had. He probably wasn't even supposed to play singles, but he played singles. But it was painful to watch, Haroon, huh?
It was it was super painful. I even tweeted about it or X'd about it that this is really painful to watch. And imagine like Botic, that's the match he's playing, and he has to end Rafa's career. And the thing is, Rafa wasn't even making it hard. Like he was making it hard because he wasn't playing so well, and it's just like he keeps on hitting passing shots, great powerful ground strokes, and Rafa didn't have that power that he always has. It was really tough to watch. I was hoping that something would change. Rafa would just pull a rabbit out of the hat or something like that. But yeah, like I couldn't watch that. It was brutal to see. So yeah,
it was hard because you're seeing Rafa get overpowered off the forehand side. When did you ever see that? His quickness clearly is gone. I mean,
but the thing is, when I'm watching the practice videos, he looks amazing.
He looks amazing, and he's doing
so what
and he's moving
the
so quick. It looks like the practice opponents he's playing, and maybe they're not the best quality, or maybe his just body is
no. But I think he's always like that. He's always like that in the practice, like when you see practice highlights or practice matches and stuff like that. He always whips the ball way harder than he does in actual matches. Even for as long as I could remember, every time I see highlights or snippets of him playing on practice courts, he's like whipping those forehands from the baseline.
He practices really hard in general. I don't know if harder than the match. He just practices really hard.
That's what they say. I think I heard something like that before. That's like some people that would hit with him before tournaments, and they say like he actually hits much harder in practice than he does in the matches. So
he hits what?
I guess so. He hits harder in practice than he does in matches.
Yeah, for sure.
The thing we can go to like feel peaceful about is that he gave everything. Like
he gave everything.
there's nothing left in that
There was
tank.
nothing left, yeah.
He promised himself and he promised his team and he promised Uncle Tony so many times he wouldn't leave tennis until he had nothing left to give, and it looks like he has nothing left.
Yeah. Well, then let's talk about the ceremony, because I think there's some controversial opinions on how that went down. Haroon, what do you think of the ceremony that we had?
What do you mean? What do you think of the ceremony?
Any thoughts on the ceremony? Did you think it was a happy ceremony, positive? Is this how you wanted to see him go out? Like, how did
Then
you
I
see
can speak for myself. I have a few thoughts on the matter. Like if you ask me, if just like the ceremony, like I felt like he deserved so much more the way it went down. Like obviously because comparison is the thief of joy, and we saw how Rogers was, and he had everyone around him. He had Murray, he had Djokovic. Obviously, he played doubles with Rafa, so it was iconic. And you would expect the same for the other three guys. You would expect the same for Murray. Wasn't iconic either. Djokovic, you would want the same for him, and obviously Rafa, you would want something as close to, maybe not as big as that one because Laver Cup is Rogers' event, but you would expect something close to that. No one was there. They said the ceremony is going to be on Friday, but they had no idea if they were going to win the match. So why would you make it on? Djokovic said he was going to come. He promised that he was going to be there, and he was going to be there, but he was going to come on Friday. And then he didn't get to attend the ceremony, and then Rafa didn't have his biggest rivals there to support and I guess pay their respects. So yeah, the ceremony felt weird.
I don't know. For me, like, yeah, of course, the Federer ceremony was iconic, and they were carrying him and they lifted him, and they were all crying. Like, of course, that was an iconic ceremony, and you know, Federer has a huge team behind him for these things. But I felt like it was set up to be the way he wanted to go out. Davis Cup in Spain, wearing his national jersey, which brought the best out of him and the happiest moments for him as a tennis player, in front of his home crowd, in front of his people. You know, Netherlands kind of stole the thunder away from it, because if they had won, then we could have gotten a better ceremony Friday.
Yeah.
But he would have had Djokovic and Murray and potentially others if it was Friday. But I think he wanted to go out this way. He got the right celebration to be in front of his home crowd, to say the speech in Spanish, and so they can feel him, to be rooted on as a warrior in your last match, and you fall with honor where there's nothing else left to give. That's how I think any athlete would like to go out. He was rooted, he was loved, he was cheered.
If we're going to be fair, also, like, if we're going to be... we said goodbye to Rafa maybe...
Exactly. We celebrated him so many times this year.
And so, first of all, the Madrid Masters, we said goodbye, and he had also a speech and everything, and then we said the same thing again in Roland Garros. And then we had again in the Six Kings Slam.
And the Olympics also, he was celebrated because he was also there.
So, in a way, if you actually look back, if you're not focused on just the here and now, yeah, he actually got, I guess.
He was honored. He was honored, and he went out. He can go out with his head high.
We wanted to see, though, Roger. We saw Djokovic, gave him the respect when they went to the Six Kings Slam. But we wanted to, I know that the post was awesome, but we wanted to see Roger in person. It would have been nice.
It would have been cooler. By the way, I don't rule out something happening in the future, by the way, but like it was...
that was the moment. That
was the moment. It's true. But, you know,
but I think he said that
wearing the Spanish jersey. He went out wearing the Spanish jersey in Spain in front of his people. You can't ask for more.
Yeah.
I think everybody expected to make it to the final. That's why, and it was supposed to be.
You guys expected. You and Smile expected the final. I'm not expecting.
I thought Carlitos could carry them to the final.
There was no way they were going to make it to the final.
I think everybody expected
that
them.
All
they have is Alcaraz. They don't have anything.
Yeah,
else.
Carlitos was a tiebreak away.
Yeah, fine.
No, but you should be able to win one singles match. Carlos is supposed to win all his singles matches, and then you just grind it out and win a doubles match. But yeah, we expected him to be in the final. We expected to have like a glorious ending. But yeah, what can you do? Okay, so moving on to something a little bit more, happy. Some happy thoughts. What was your earliest memory of Rafa? What do you think, Yusuf? What was your earliest memory of Rafa?
So this might be a long story. So for me, I was an Agassi fan when I was younger. The first racket I had when I was conscious was head radical racket, that silver one with orange, and Agassi was my guy. He was my role model in tennis, and then I knew he was on his way out, so I needed to find someone new. And who's this new guy going to be? And they're like, oh, there's this young 18-year-old kid from Spain. And we didn't have all the access we have now. We had much less access. So you would just hear things here and there. Maybe you see something on TV. Maybe you hear someone talk about something. And they said that there's this young Spanish guy and he's going to be amazing. And then I remember I first saw him in Monte Carlo in 2005, wearing his orange sleeveless Nike shirt and then those long white shorts above the knees. And then you can see left bicep big, right bicep small, bandana. And then he walks onto the court and you watch this guy play tennis and just, you feel like he's at war. Every single point is more important than the last. Every single point as if this is the match. And then he gave you so much energy, he gave you so much emotions, and you just felt like this, and I'm like, this is my guy. This is my guy. So for me, that was my earliest memory of like this. I think this is a guy that I'm gonna ride with, and I did not expect to follow him for over 20 years, and to see this amount of success. But I remember my first memories of Rafa were then, and I wanted to. You just wanted to root for the guy, and it was a journey that I took in 2005, and here we are, 2022. 2024, sorry, 2022.
Where have you been for the past 2 years?
It was his last amazing season.
That?
It was his last. 2022 was the last.
Time stops for Rafa fans, huh? Time stops for Rafa fans.
I guess it did. But 2024, here we are, 19 years after it. We've all grown, but I saw him as a young boy. I cheered him on as a kid, grew up, teenager, in my 20s. Now here I am, I'm in my 30s now, and I'm watching him retire, and it's one of, it's a loss.
All right, then.
I'm gonna miss him.
What about you, Smile? What was your earliest memory of Rafa?
It's also in 2005 because that's when Rafa just stormed onto the scene. But for me, it was also during that same time, and there was that clay court swing. And for me, the earliest fun memory is in Rome. And it was in the final when he played Korea. And it was a 5-set match at that time. You know, at the time, they played the best of 5 for the finals.
It was the best.
I strongly believe we should go back to that. And Rafa, he was just electric. He was so fun to watch. He was so powerful. He was so strong. He was so quick. His forehand was absolutely crushing it. He would get everything on the court. There's nothing that he would leave. It was like, you can't get by this guy. It was so awesome. It was so fun. You know, I was a Roger Federer at the time. I was already a Roger guy. And but I couldn't take my eyes off this kid. I couldn't look away. It was just so awesome. And the Korea final in Rome.
If I recall, it wasn't awesome. You would not cheer for the guy. You were not with the guy.
Yeah, it was. Well, I'm going to tell you why. Because at the time, he wasn't playing Federer in those tournaments. And Rafa was just crushing everyone on his way to titles in that clay court swing. And the final against Korea, it went to a final set tiebreak in the 5th. And he takes it in 8-6. And then this kid, he's just a kid. And he starts going wild. And he starts throwing his racket. He emptied his bag in the stand. He threw his whole bag in the stand. It was so fun because like that's what I would do. Like he was just conveying my emotions. It was just a super excited, happy kid, and I just couldn't stop. I couldn't look away. It was so fun. He was so awesome, and you know he couldn't speak much English at the time. It wasn't that great, but you could just tell he's so humble. And then already I was rooting for Rafa the whole time. It wasn't until the French Open in 2005 when he pummeled Federer at the French Open. It was then I started rooting against him because every time he played Federer, I root for Federer, and he just keeps crushing Federer. That's why I was rooting against him. Other than that, I love Rafa, and he was so fun to watch, and he was so electric. And it's hard not, like, even if I was rooting against him as a fan, I couldn't help but respect him, and I always loved to watch Rafa. what a fun player. Amazing career. Amazing athlete.
Yeah, he's super fun. So my memory is a bit different. It was just like fragments that I would see things when I was younger. So my first introduction to Rafa was like when you go buy a racket and you're going to a tennis store or something, or you see his pictures on those rackets, on those like on the whatever poster in the store, and like, oh, his rackets look cool, and who's this guy that's with a huge bicep and with a sleeveless shirt and a bandana. Obviously, I wanted to wear a bandana. I didn't have that long hair that he has, but
we all wanted to wear bandanas.
Everybody wanted, and bandanas are always been super expensive, so nobody could even get a bandana. But yeah, those long shorts were iconic. Nobody else is wearing long shorts like he has, and it was and he just makes everybody super excited. I didn't really get to watch him once he was on tour because I was so young, but then you just see people just Nadal, like doing it like Nadal and just screaming and so much passion. And then the first time I actually remember watching him play was in playing Federer in the French Open, and then just crushing Federer. And then I have like a tainted image of Federer in my brain because of Rafa. He destroyed Federer's image in my brain, and also Rafa's this cool hip young guy that's representing the youth, and Federer's this old luxurious guy that's representing the old geezers like you, right? But yeah, he's like that was
old geezers because you were how old? You were 6. He was probably Roger was probably 20, 25, 24 maybe.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
so actually younger than you are now, but
in
I
2000,
guess you call yourself
in
a geezer,
2008 he was 27. So
so old.
But
that's a geezer. How old are you now? Exactly.
Roger in 2008 was my age now, but just that's a long time ago. But yeah, anyways, Rafa was just iconic always. He has so much aura, and we would gravitate to him as a young tennis player. But yeah, there's so many other things I can talk about, but always happy memories with Rafa. Yeah. Right. Let's moving on to our next segment. So, how did Rafa influence you guys? You guys touched upon like some of bits and pieces of it, but how did he influence your actions and your behavior in your life? What did Rafa do to you?
To me, as a kid, he influenced everything. Before I saw Rafa, I had no idea what vamos was. I started using vamos.
Everybody started to learn Spanish after watching Rafa.
He made vamos the most important word.
He made it cool.
Everyone says vamos now. Everyone says vamos. You can see a kid now, 10 years old, saying vamos. You could see a 50-year-old saying vamos. Everyone says vamos.
China, the U.S., everywhere.
No, I played with the Babylon racket because of Rafa. True. No one played with with Babylon before him. Yeah, Roddick had that racket, that Aero Drive Blue, whatever that was called.
Super
but
cool.
No one else, no one cared for Babylon. It wasn't one of the big brands. Now it is the biggest racket brand because of Rafa, and I used it because of Rafa. I wore sleeveless shirts because of Rafa, even though I had no biceps. I still wore it because of Rafa. I tried to grow out my hair and wear bandanas because of Rafa. I did all that because of him. When I was playing matches, I never gave up because I never saw Rafa give up. Even if I was down, and I remember I won matches when I was young, down 5-love in the final set, and I came back and I won sometimes. And all I could think of is I want to be like Rafa.
Are you Rafa? Are you actually Rafa? He was coming back from 5-love down?
5-love down. I was once in my life. I came back and it
flex, just a quick flex on us.
Wasn't? No, like he made Roland Garros my favorite tournament to watch. It's because of him. And like I remember summertime, it's Rafa season. It's Rafa season when he comes in. School's finishing. It's the end of the year.
True.
Summertime is coming, and then it's Roland Garros, which actually means it's Rafa time. So like those are things, and the forehand on top of my head, I'd finish it like that, even though it was completely wrong. They'd tell me finish your follow through properly. Nope, Rafa does this, I do that, even though it was wrong. But that's how he affected me. And also, to me, the biggest thing was I did throw my racket when I was young, not something I'm proud of. But whenever you throw the racket, you feel like Rafa never did that. Rafa would never do that. So when I
Never
was a
did.
kid, then that was
Not once.
he was.
Yeah,
You
crazy.
didn't throw your racket once.
Rafa never, not once. You never
Yeah.
saw him come close.
Yeah, but so that's the influence that he had on me as a kid, and then and all that thing, all these things, by the way, like they pass on to anything you do in life. So the never giving up, the being respectful, the being humble all the time, all these are things, traits that we can take to be, whether you want to be good in business, you want to be a good human. He taught so many lessons, and I learned so much from him as a kid, and then we still learn from him until this day. So his influence on me has been monumental.
Yeah, all right.
That's good stuff.
How about you, Smile? How did Rafa influence you?
Yeah, well, I said I was a Federer guy, so I wasn't trying to mimic the Rafa look as much. I was trying to go for the Federer look. But one thing, that forehand, the forehand follow through above the head, that one. Also, the banana slice shot that he would whip when he would recover. Also, he was doing that.
Yeah.
Like he was the pioneer. Or he made that cool. He made those shots cool.
Yeah.
But more importantly than just like the look and the appeal, like Rafa represented humility. No one could ever call Rafa arrogant. There's just like, if you want to call Rafa arrogant, like it would be like, because he has that slip up when he was still learning English. He was like, I was trying to destroy him. Like he said destroy. Like other than that, he was so humble. You never heard.
We're not Tomic in the Australian Open, huh? I think so.
You never heard him speak.
I think so.
He didn't speak bad about any player. He always showed max respect. They're on court, he wouldn't celebrate in front of people. Like just the kind of, there's so many videos of Rafa sweeping up the court after his practice. That's the kind of person he is. Of the stories of him speaking nicely to all the the workers at each tournament, and this is the kind of champion that you want, where the success on the court doesn't affect how he behaves with people off the court. And other than that, just the amazing fighting spirit that Rafa represented. I think if you think of fighter, you only think of Rafa. He is the fighter, the ultimate fighters of all fighters. And he was so fun to watch, because Rafa's never going to give up. And I even recall now, like I was going through, I've been just consuming Rafa content and just all week long. And, they got him when he was 16 and he beat Moya. And when he was 16, and Moya is his idol from the same island in Spain, he didn't even celebrate. He beat Moya because he's his role model and he respects him. Like, this is his biggest win of his life. At the time, he was top 4, Moya. He beat Moya and he looked down. He was looking down at the ground.
I think he said sorry. Yeah,
he said sorry at the net. Why? A 16-year-old kid who just got the biggest win of his life, he just got validated for all his life's work, and he says sorry. Like, this kind of awareness, this kind of humility, I think that's the legacy that Rafa lives on. You can't say that about many people in life.
No.
Yeah, for sure.
About many champions. I don't know, what do you think, Haroon?
Yeah, like, if I have to say, how did Rafa influence me, like, the start of it, like the beginning, it was most likely in tennis, when trying to imitate him in different ways and trying to do the banana forehand.
Especially us, because we're lefties, Haroon.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys have a special bond with the lefty bond.
Yeah, he was also...
he wasn't lefty, but he represented us.
Yeah. He was double-handed on both sides, and he decided to play with the left. But like he was that was a representation for us, and it was nice. Actually, it was an empowering feeling, that hey, we try to imitate him because we can see somebody that's successful, and we want to try to be successful also on the tennis court. But also this killer slice serve. That's why my slice serve was a killer, like I said in the teaser. But more when you learn about him, when growing up, and then you see his career, his very long career, and you see all the things that he does and how he handles wins and losses, and he's gracious in defeat, and also and he's not he's a good winner, and he's also a good loser, and he makes sure to respect all the players, and also things that he does off the court with his charities and his academies, and when he's helping with Valencia with the things happening, the floods there. So and also when you see clips of him also, cleaning up the court and making sure that the court is, good enough to play, and he does it himself. He doesn't wait for somebody else to come do that for him. So it's inspiring because he shows you that he's not above anybody, even though he's loaded with cash and he's loaded with titles and
over 130 million in prize money on court. That's on court.
That
The fact that you never felt
with
that
his
just shows how
insane boats and insane lifestyle that he has, but he never
He loves his boat.
with his buddies when he goes to Spain and his vacations, but he never shows you that he has that, and that's something that you want to take away in your life, and to be like that whenever you have any success, that you feel like, oh, I can show myself a bit more, but then you see people that have way more than you do and they're also humble. So that's a great inspiration. That's how he influenced me.
Guys, Rafa's had a 20-year career of mastery, and he has had so many epic achievements, so many happy moments that we saw for him on court. I think it deserves to be highlighted, some of these achievements that just show how dominant he was as a player.
Yes, he was.
And he was so dominant. So starting off with his 14 titles at Roland Garros.
Untouchable.
Unbelievable. That's an untouchable record. 112 wins at a major. 112.
How many losses? How many losses?
4 losses. Only 4 losses.
14 slams at RG is the same number of slams that Pete Sampras has, which is one of the best players of all time. Of all time. He was arguably the GOAT before Federer stepped in.
He was. I think the accomplishment is so crazy we can't even comprehend.
It's crazy
how crazy that accomplishment is.
It's
14 one Roland Garros. When team has one US Open, I love you, team, but he has one US Open, and he said, like,
and he dipped.
I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
He was happy because he was happy.
Yeah, because you reached the mountaintop. Because winning one slam, we've all played tennis. I can't even win one. Couldn't even win one tournament as a kid. He won. So imagine winning one slam. This guy won 14 of the same exact one.
It's not normal. It's not normal. And he was just so dominant in general.
Is this the greatest accomplishment in sport history?
It might be. It might be because it's not going to get touched.
Like MJ's 6 rings or Tom Brady's 7 Super Bowls. Is anything as close as this?
He won it 4 times in a row, 3 times. Like, he won it from 05 to 08. And then he won. That's not normal. You're not supposed to keep dominating the Roland Garros French Open every single time like that. Like, it's not. You can't have from 05 to 08, from 2010 to 14, and then from 2017 to 20. And then he capped it off again because he still won it in 2022. How's that normal? How's that normal?
And it was always he was winning it like fairly easily. I would say, like,
convincing.
He's crushing.
Dominating.
He's crushing all the time.
How many times did he win it without dropping a set? 4 times.
He's the only.
No one's ever done. I think
he's the only player to win 4 Grand Slam titles without dropping a set. No one has touched that mark.
Borg did 3
did
times.
4.
Roger did it twice, and he did it 4 times.
He did it 4 times. 4 times at the French Open. He was so dominant on clay. Like, not only was he dominant at RG, he also dominated Monte Carlo to a level that is unimaginable.
Monte Carlo is his backyard.
It's his backyard. At one point, he won 46 consecutive matches at Monte Carlo. That's an untouchable record. And just for fun, just to tease you, he beat your boy Verdasco in 2010 in the final. He took him out love 1.
Wow.
He took a final love 1. That's not supposed to happen. 2010 Verdasco was peak Verdasco.
You
can praise someone without crushing the other one.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun to do, so I had to
put
do
some
it
respect on my boy's name.
Put some respect on my boy's name.
No,
yeah,
no, Verdasco was my favorite player, but you know why? Because brushing on, building on this point. Because Rafa seemed untouchable.
He was untouchable.
To me, Verdasco was something I can touch.
I had to root against him.
It was human. Verdasco is human. He's a top 10 player. He makes it to finals. He makes it to semifinals of slams. I'm like, this is something I can touch. Rafa, I can't touch that. He's not human. I can't say I want to be. He wasn't a role model. He was something beyond. He was extraterrestrial. but Verdasco is something I could touch. But Rafa is the standard. He was the standard, and what he did on clay was, it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. It's not replicable ever. No one will ever come close to any of these clay records that he has. Harun, you wanted to add something?
I wanted to say, just a stat that always makes me go crazy is that from April 2005 till May 2007, he was undefeated on clay. Just for almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. Anybody that plays him on clay, just not a specific tournament where he knows the environment, just the surface, he's gonna win.
81 matches in a row.
That's
81.
2 years you don't lose.
No,
Is that
but
even
like
normal?
people walk on the court. They like you walk on the court expecting to lose, and that just lasted. That aura lasted for how many? That lasted to like I think until this year. Even when he went into Roland Garros and he was playing against Sasha Zverev, who was coming off a Rome Masters win, he probably thought like, I'm supposed to lose this match probably, even though this guy's coming off injury and this and that, and he's old and this guy's
you
at
have
the
to.
peak of his
You fear him. He's a titan on
Just
the
the question
just
here,
had
can
this-
you do anything 81 times in a row? Anything 81 times in a row without making a mistake? Can you write your name 81 times in a row the same way? What can you do 81 times in a row without?
You can't.
What in the world?
You can't. You
This
can't.
for
There's
2
no way.
years.
There's
2
no way.
years. Nobody's figured him out
it's
for
just-
2 years. Like
His records on clay in general. He has 50 consecutive sets won on clay, like 81 matches.
The dominance. I could say if you want to talk about just specific, like he's the most. Is he the most dominant?
He might be the most dominant. Imagine this. He's won.
Like no disrespect to Novak, but
No disrespect to Djokovic at all. But the dominance he had, especially on, he won 30 ATP titles without dropping a set. 26 on clay. 26 times he won to a title from first match to trophy without dropping a single set.
it's,
That's iconic.
Some wild stuff.
I can't. I have nothing to say. I don't even know what to say. He has me mumbling. He has me mumbling my words from how amazing it was. But like, he was dominant, but also something that has to be talked about because he had all these injuries along the years and all these issues that he had. His longevity
Unbelievable.
is second to none.
Unbelievable.
Second to none.
In sport.
So-
in sport, not just tennis.
And second
sport.
to none. By the way, longevity, not just playing the sport. No, he was on top of the world for so long. So he was only player to be world number one in 3 different decades.
That doesn't make sense.
He's the only one that can say that.
I don't even know how.
3 different decades. People, I think when he was when he came out for the first 3 years, like, this thing can't continue. This can't continue. He can't play this physically for that long. That people say about Alcaraz now. Let's see how that one goes. But people said that about Rafa. 3 different decades, he was world number one.
That's
That's
not
crazy.
normal. It's incredible.
Then add on to that, then also he's the only player to win multiple slams in 3 different decades.
That's also crazy.
Multiple
it's also,
slams. Like
crazy.
fine, world number one, you can say fine. He got this one in end of this decade, and then he got this one at this point. Fine, the 2010s. That was when he was peaking, and then he got one in the beginning of 2020. But how about winning multiple slams in 3 different decades?
To win slams, you have to be amazing. To win a title, to win a Grand Slam, you have to be awesome. You have to win 7 best of 5s against the top players in the world. It means you had to beat the best players multiple times along the way.
It's also mentally just to
That
do
does-
that. Mentally
Imagine.
going.
It's amazing. Like for me, what's mind blowing is 912 consecutive weeks in the top 10.
That makes no sense.
Like that means
It
you
makes no
never
sense.
left the top. Like, you know how demanding the tennis season is, and to stay in the race and to stay in the top 10. He did that for 912, almost 1,000 weeks.
Nothing, and I don't know if there's anything in sport that gives you as much pressure as defending your points in the next as tennis
is
does.
so tough,
It's
so mentally draining, so draining.
But 912 weeks. That's what 17 and a half years.
Where he
something.
was top 10, where he's among the 10 best players in the world, and periods of that
When
time he was
guys
number
make it
one.
into the top 50, it's an achievement. And imagine making it to the top 100 is actually an achievement. Now, this guy inside the top 10 for 17 and a half years makes absolutely no... It makes me... so many things have already blown my mind. But that's why this guy, he can't be someone who's a role model. He's something beyond.
He's an icon.
He's something
living.
beyond.
We're sorry, Rafa. We didn't appreciate you enough while you were still
I tried.
dominant.
Well,
I tried.
some people were appreciating
I
this
didn't
fight.
know.
Some people.
I didn't know what we were gonna
You
miss.
just were.
I didn't know.
You didn't
Well, that
appreciate in the
wasn't
beginning. I
appreciated.
appreciate from the beginning, but then it was throughout the years, I was like, maybe we did not. Even though I was the biggest Rafa fan, I did not appreciate the guy as much as I should have. Now that he's gone, it hurts so much. But
It hurts so much.
It's nice to see that you can go back and probably untouched records.
We're gonna go back and watch all these things because it's just unlimited, iconic memories. He's the youngest player to have ever completed the career Grand Slam. He did that at 24 years old. 24 years old. Yeah, which already it's mind-blowing. But it becomes more mind-blowing when you realize that he was also the oldest player to ever complete the double career Grand Slam. Like, so he did it as the youngest player, then he did it as the oldest player. To manage all the different surfaces and the different fitness and the versatility that you need to have in your game.
The amounts of injuries that he had.
Injuries and the mental toughness to just keep changing your game, to adapt to the new eras and to compete. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't
just amazing.
By the way, I just also want to mention something else. Just also to because, well, you have to compare him in a way, and also just to put everything that he's done into context. There's people like players like Stanislas Wawrinka, that is a legend. He's managed to win slams among the big three and the big four, and we consider him one of the best players of all time. Rafa's record against him is 13-0. What?
13-0?
Doesn't make sense.
No.
He's never beat Rafa. Like Wawrinka has never beat Rafa. Also,
He's never touched
just
him.
also, your boy Yusuf, your boy Verdasco, 17-3 with Rafa. Berdych.
I heard a 3 though. That wasn't a 0, so that's something.
It's something. It's something. Yeah. Also, Berdych, an amazing player. Had a great career, always being having deep runs in slams.
Legend, Hall of Famer.
20-4. And last but not least, but sorry, Richard Gasquet.
His boyhood rival, who was compared to Rafa. Imagine, he was the one they were comparing Rafa to. Rafa was ahead of him.
One of the best French.
Sorry, Gasquet was ahead of him.
One of the best French players of all time, you could argue. He has had also a great career, and he still didn't retire yet, and it's still going. 18-0.
That's the one that doesn't make sense. Oh my God. That's the one that doesn't. That's for me like the most shocking. That's your boyhood rival. That's supposed to be the guy they were.
Maybe he can get one. He couldn't even get one.
He couldn't steal one when he was young. Like just steal one from a young Rafa.
Disrespect.
Rafa never gave him one.
No disrespect to Gasquet though, because
it's all the respect to Rafa. It's no disrespect to anyone. It's just more respect to this guy.
I didn't want to throw Gasquet there, but Rafa, we have to mention these things because Rafa needs to get the respect he deserves.
Also, most consecutive seasons with a slam. 10 seasons with at least one Grand Slam title. It's just endless records. We could go on and on.
Yeah, that's probably going
to... we can go on and on, but...
if we want, this segment can go for hours.
It can, and would love to. But I have a question for Yusuf, and you've been following Rafa his whole career, especially, as a lefty Rafa fan. Has Rafa been given the respect he deserves for being a great player on all surfaces?
No. They haven't given him the respect he deserves because of how amazing he has been on clay. They haven't given him the respect he deserves.
On clay, he's so dominant. He's been so amazing.
If you want to look at his career, let's take out the clay. How many slams does he have? How many does he have?
8.
He has 8 slams. He has 8 slams off clay. If we took away clay, that makes him one of the greatest players of all time. He took down Roger in the peak of his powers in Wimbledon. Yeah. He has the second most U.S. Open titles in history, 4.
That's amazing.
He has 2 Australian Opens. So this guy has won on every single surface. And just because he dominated on clay doesn't mean that we should disrespect him on all the other surfaces. Rafa's one of the greatest players of all time. Not the greatest clay courter. He's one of the greatest players of all time, and the stats show it. And so anyone that says no, he's the king of clay. Yes, he is the king of clay, but he is also one of the best ever on hard, and he's one of the best ever on grass. And people should never, ever forget that. And if you want proof, there is proof. The numbers. Look at the slams. 8 slams if you take away the clay. So yes, of course, they disrespect him and they don't show him the respect that he deserves. So put some respect on my boy's name.
Yeah, also you're talking about just the titles. How many finals has he made it to Wimbledon?
Exactly.
5 finals. How many finals at Australia? 6.
Exactly.
Just he's competing at the highest level. He just runs into bulldozers
Yes,
like Roger and Djokovic. And so, yeah, he's absolutely one of the best ever. He's at worst top 3 ever.
If you
at worst.
At worst, he's top 3 if you, no, fine, Sampras is, he's top 4 if you remove the clay.
Yeah.
Then he goes head-to-head with Agassi.
Yeah, he's better than Agassi.
Yeah, no, I'm saying if you remove the clay, he goes head-to-head with Agassi.
If you remove the clay, he's still better than Agassi because of the number of finals he has on all the surfaces. He's still better than Agassi. Okay. All due respect to Andre Agassi, iconic, mentally tough player, but like he's still
my idol. These are 2 of my idols. So
let's get some geezers in the comments that are gonna rage at you.
No disrespect for the old timers. Hey, Agassi's awesome. Sampras,
I love
I'm a
Agassi.
Sampras guy. Also, they're awesome, but what Rafa did is just amazing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's
So yeah, people need to put some. Let's. The conclusion there is, put some respect on Rafa's name. Not only on clay, on every single surface. He's one of the best of all time on all surfaces.
It's one of those rare situations where you're so good at something that people don't appreciate.
You're the
how good you are at others.
Victim of your own success.
He is.
He's a victim of his own success.
He is. He's the dominance on clay is just so wild. People can't comprehend how good he was off it.
It's crazy.
he's like, come on. We're gonna keep on talking about him for hours and hours. All right, guys, moving on. We want to talk about some iconic matches that Rafa played in. So, what has been your favorite match of all time?
There's so many to pick from. Can I start?
Go, yeah,
Go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
Because when I was asked this question, I had so many in mind, and but I'm gonna stick with one. I feel like because there were so many obstacles going into it, there were just the number of injuries. I'm talking about the Australian Open 2022 final against Daniil Medvedev.
That's so
That
iconic.
was, to me, that was
Man, what a match.
it was iconic. Like the build up to it. First of all, we can talk about all the pain that he had in Australian Open ever since 2009, where then he made it to finals, lost, injuries, lost, just back and forth. He wasn't able to find his way back to the mountaintop in Melbourne, and then in 2022 he comes into the season. No one expected anything from him. A few months before, we saw him. Everyone remembers there was that picture. His leg was in a cast, and he couldn't even put his foot on the ground.
He couldn't walk.
Couldn't walk. And then he comes into the Australian Open, not the Australian Open. He came into the Australian swing, and then no one expected much of him. And obviously he downplayed everything. And then he came in. I think it was Adelaide. It was his first tournament, and he came in. Yeah, I'm just trying to find my game. Let me play some matches. Then let's get to the Australian Open and let's see what happens. He won that tournament.
It was the definition of bend don't break.
And then he moved in. Yeah, but he won the tournament. Went into the Australian Open. And everyone's like, okay, because it's Rafa. We expect maybe like an appearance in the second week, probably.
That's guaranteed, because he's Rafa.
Yeah, because the second week, but if you start from the round of 16, no one has high hopes. And the best thing about Rafa is, you doubt the man, then he shall rise like a phoenix. And that he did. He rose like a phoenix, and he made it all the way to the final. And then obviously in the final, 2 sets to love down. This match is over. I think the statistics was it 8 the chances of him winning, was it 88%? 98%. It was a 98% chance of him losing the match. So he had 2% chance to win it. And obviously, I think it encapsulates who Rafa was. And then he comes back. And then with everything I talked about, and then Medvedev, he couldn't hold on. Then he just fought back. You just knew it. He just set. Then he won the third. And then he won the fourth. And then you're like, this is his for the taking. And you can see the blows keep coming. Boom, 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 boom. Medi's coming. And he came back and he won the tournament. And then to win that Australian Open from 2009. So how many years did he have to wait for that one? He had to wait
13
He had to wait 13 years, and he finally got this. And then then obviously complete the double career slam at 35 years and 6 months, 7 months, something like that. It was to me, it was maybe one of the most iconic moments in Rafa's history, because it basically tells his story of he fought through so much, and he fought through the injuries, and he fought through the doubt of all the people and all the experts, and he came out on top. And then in the final, down 2 sets to love, and he comes back, and it was like, it just, to me, that was that match, that if I want to tell someone, oh, who's Rafa, if you want 2 generations from now, who's Rafa, go watch that match. That's
my
Rafa.
God, what a great match. And you could feel it coming. You could feel it build up, like after he was chipping away.
Yeah.
You knew, like, hey, Mehdi, if you don't put this away ASAP, you're going to deal with the beast here.
And you
so
can't
awesome.
put Rafa away easy.
When
You
we
can't-
were
you
watching
can't put
that
Rafa.
match live, it was great. Like, we're watching Mehdi. He was too good, obviously, for the first 2 sets, and Rafa had no solutions for him. And you just felt that Mehdi's he keeps on, like, asking the question. Rafa is he's not giving up just yet. He's losing, but he's still in there. And that 3rd set, like, he kept on.
He was
He
down
just
a
said,
break in the 3rd.
Just give me one chance.
He was down a break in the 3rd
Yes,
set.
he was. He was giving. You feel like he's like, just give me that one chance. If I can get that one chance.
He almost went down double break,
Yeah.
because it was also love 30 after there was he almost went down double break.
Yeah.
What kind of mental toughness does this guy have to keep fighting?
He's the mentally toughest player of all time.
It's incredible.
That's no disrespect to
Yeah,
anyone.
Mehdi had
He's
taken
the
out
mentally toughest
Djokovic
player
in
of
the
all
final.
time.
He doesn't have any doubt. Mehdi's a
Yeah.
proven player at the
Mehdi was already confident that he could win a slam,
backing up a slam win.
and he had experience with him in
If you
2019.
want to talk that Australian Open final on its own, we can have probably a discussion for hours and hours.
Oh, man.
But
So awesome.
but that one was iconic. But Haroun, did you have a favorite Rafa match of all time?
Here it is. This is my match. Wimby 08. Wimby 2008.
Wimby 08.
Roger against Rafa,
Oh,
arguably the greatest match of all time. One of the most iconic matches ever. One of the most iconic sporting events ever. And it's crazy.
True.
Also, sick outfit. Insane. The all white with the shorts and the sleeveless shirt was super cool. That match was insane. Obviously, there's a lot of, like, the story behind it, behind that match, and obviously it was the battle of the clay court king and the grass court king, with Roger obviously dominating everything else outside of clay and being so dominant and having, winning 6 consecutive Wimbledons having that on the line, and then Rafa dealing with, he's never able to beat Roger at any other surface in any other place other than on clay. So that's happening mentally, and the difference also in the style of play. Roger is such an elegant player. He's so smooth. He's also walking onto the court with looking so chic and luxurious, and then Rafa's he's just one of the boys. He's rolling up with his cool not athleisure, but
He was repping the boys.
he was repping the boys.
He was repping the boys.
That's what I'm saying. He's the cool guy. He's representing the youth, and Roger is representing the royal class. So that was also kind of adding that part to the story, and every match, especially like they faced 2 years in a row prior to that in the final of Wimbledon, and Roger obviously was winning, but Roger is always he wins, and he finds a way to win, and Rafa has no solution there, and then Rafa comes out guns blazing, up 2 sets, and then Roger's like, hey, I'm the GOAT. I'm the GOAT right now, and this is my town. And he comes back and he wins.
Yeah, but that rain delay helped, though. Yeah, those rain delays helped so much. I remember that match.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, no, go.
No, but to me, I remember the Wimbledon 2008 final. It wasn't like I sat down and watched the match. I felt like it was an experience over an entire day.
Yeah, it was. It was.
It was an
It went
experience.
for an entire day.
It was a
It
day.
went. It was on for.
Yeah, because it wasn't.
didn't feel like
Because
it.
it was
It
a
actually
day.
It
was.
literally was
It
the
was.
entire day.
I know, like it's one of those matches where like you remember the day. It wasn't like a match within the day. It was an entire day. It was. If we can make that, we should make that an official holiday for like that day and that match and the way.
Yeah.
It was obviously
that was also
the
super
best.
crucial.
People say the best match of all time.
Yeah, super crucial for Roger to come back in that match and see how he could figure out the problems that Rafa's been giving him, and just mentally having to zone in and out and come in and just building momentum again and again. And then also Rafa had match point. In the when was it? I think it was in the fourth set. And that was a super crazy tiebreak. Rafa was up 5-2, and then he also had it at 6-3, I think, as well, or he had it at 6-2. I'm not sure. I can't. You guys remember the exact score?
I don't remember the exact score, but yeah, he had.
But
I think he had match points in
And
that
then
set. Yeah.
most people would just fumble and okay, it's over. Roger took control and he's gonna come in and all the momentum is with him, and then he finds a way to win it again. I can't say how amazing that match was. The toughness, the mental strength that they had to go through, and also just the points that they were playing, just brutal points, long rallies, crushing the ball, and both of them are just going for insane shots. It was so fun, and keep on watching.
I think if we wanna break down this match, I think this would be probably be an entire series. But
they were both so clutch, and the fact that finally Rafa broke through to get his first Wimbledon is what makes it all the more iconic. Just how he did it.
Yeah.
Just he did it the right way.
you know what stands out to me from this match, and obviously it wasn't from the match itself, but like when you watched afterwards, and then in the rain delay, in the second rain delay, and then when Tony Nadal was coming into him, obviously 21-year-old kid playing against people considering Roger going to be the greatest player of all time, and then so he needs to give. He won the first 2 sets, lost the next 2 sets, so felt like he need to give him something. 21-year-old kid, he probably needs it. And to me, like, just the sentence that he told him, I don't need anything. I don't need you to tell me anything. If he's gonna win this match, he needs to win it. I'm not gonna lose it. Obviously in Spanish, but
Yeah, he said I'm going to win this match, but then he said, yeah, I'm not going to lose it. He's going to have to win it.
He said he's gonna have to win it, and that's, to me, that just showed, like, at 21 years old, Rafa showed
Iconic line.
just it's to me it just when you're 21 and then you're down 2 sets, you were up 2 sets to love, then down 2 sets, you lost the next 2 sets against people now, but at the time he wasn't, but the greatest grass court player of all time.
He was untouchable on grass at the time.
And that's what you say. That's what you're telling yourself, and you're the one who's basically comforting your coach, your uncle, that, like, I'm fine, man. This is fine. And to me, that's like a core memory that's stuck with me of Rafa, that he was 21 years old and he was wise beyond his years, and that never give up mentality, and just, I'm gonna fight, and no one's gonna if they beat me, it's because they deserved it. It wasn't because I did anything wrong. They're gonna beat me because they deserve it, and I'm gonna live with that. But to me, that was that moment when you found out that moment that happened in that match, just makes that match that much more iconic.
It was so awesome, and I mean, I encourage everyone to have a look to read Rafa's book that he wrote back in 2011 when it came out, My Story, and he talks about this match, and he talks about the behind the scenes, because in Wimbledon they share the locker room. Like, he's seeing Roger and his team in the changeover in the rain delay, and so it's like there's this chess match of body language, and Federer was saying in hindsight, Federer's like, yeah, I saw Rafa look so comfortable in 2008 because he genuinely was. In the year before, he wasn't. Roger was the one that was more comfortable in 2007, and Roger came through and won that match. And, you know, he talks about in 2006 when he first stepped into the final against Roger. He said, in my heart of my hearts, he's only had 2 times where he felt like he was never going to win the match. And it was in the 2006 Wimbledon final. He believed he had no chance. And he went from no belief, 2007, he was close. He learned from the experience of 2007 where he was close, but he let his nerves get the best of him, and he didn't bring out his best tennis.
And
in
also
2008,
he cried in the
through.
locker room after that 2007 loss.
He cried unstoppably, and then in 2008 he came and he went through the best grass court player arguably of all time to the title. That's enough said. That's enough said. That says how valuable and big that win was.
Yeah. You know, also one of the moments I remember that Rafa talked about in this match, and he said it was when he had championship point and he was serving for the match, and he had championship point, and then he said at that moment for the first time in his life, he thought he was like, I'm gonna win Wimbledon before the point. And then he lost the point and then continued playing the match. And then he said that was the first time and the last time he ever thought that way.
That's how locked in he is. And that's how mentally solid he is as a player, which is, it's amazing.
Like he just shows you have to take it point by point and just, like you said, just lock in. And
I remember
and
also, Yusuf, when you told me that what Rafa said that. And then when we play, you know, amateur tournaments or any other tournaments in sports and stuff like that, you always told me, Rafa thought that he never thinks about the match. He never thinks about the match point and all that. And he just plays until they call the whistle, until they blow the whistle. And then that's the match. The match is over then. So I always remember that you always, you know, remembered it and, you know, held it strongly.
Yeah, because it's a big lesson. It's a big lesson that anyone can use, and the number of lessons that people can learn from Rafa for sports and I guess in life, they're endless.
He's awesome.
And Ismail, we said our matches. Do you have one?
Yeah, well, there's so many, but for me, the one that sticks to me in my mind the most, it's Rafa versus Verdasco in the semifinals of the Australian Open in 2009.
You're about to kill your brother.
The iconic white, black, yellow. Yeah, it's amazing. I know that for all the Verdasco lovers like you.
For all the Verdasco lovers, how many?
I don't know how many. Maybe you only. But yeah, that was, for me, I honestly don't know if I've seen a more physical tennis match. Just how brutal it was. The shot making, the court coverage, the forehands, it's lefty forehand. It was lefties playing each other, which is weird to see, and it was just
awesome to see.
It was awesome for you. It was they were crushing the ball. The forehand matchups were insane. The rallies were insane. The number of forehand winners we saw from both players throughout 5 sets. It was 5 sets of incredible shot making, incredible quality. It was so physical. You know, in the turning point, 5 hours, 14 minutes total. That third set tiebreak was unbelievable. How Rafa was able to pull a rabbit out of the hat and steal that tiebreak, which if he does not, he probably doesn't come through in that match. And they were both physically destroyed after. And this was a legend of a match. One of my most fun matches to rewatch. I encourage everyone to just go watch.
I go back and watch that match every now and then.
It's the most fun match of all time for me, for Rafa.
It's not the most fun match. It's the best match. It's the best match.
It was
also
amazing.
Obviously I might be biased, but I think it is the best match ever played.
It's
two of my favorite players. They're all my two favorite players.
It was so amazing. And you know, they were both, after they were physically spent, you know, it was so hot and humid that match. People don't remember how hot it was. They were putting ice packs throughout the match. And also what you may not remember about this match is that it was 30-40. Rafa gets break point, 4-5 serving. Was on serve in the final set. Verdasco double faults. And the match ends on a double fault.
I only have good memories of Verdasco. I don't remember the bad
But Verdasco double faults. The match ends on a double fault. They both fall to their knees. They both fall to the ground. Go rewatch that scene. Tony Nadal, after the match, said if Verdasco had not double faulted, he thinks that Verdasco would have won the match. And Rafa says in his book that he agrees. Wow. That match was so competitive and it was so high quality and it was so close. Wow. He was that close to losing. But again, it's crazy. Rafa comes out on top in these bloodbaths where it's about who can survive the most. He comes out on top. And I'll just add something else on that because the story doesn't end there. Because, of course, the 2009 Australian Open is his first Australian Open trophy.
Yeah.
After that match, he said, I came out of that match and I felt there is not a chance in hell that I could beat Roger Federer in the Australian Open final. He said, I went in, he said after the match, and match finished super late. He slept at 5 a.m. He said, I thought I was going to go into the final. I'm not going to give up the final. I'm not going to forfeit the final, even though he was brutal. You know, his knee was also causing him trouble before.
Yeah.
He said, I thought I was going to go into that match and lose to Roger 6-1, 6-1, 6-2. Literally, that's what he thought he was going to do in the final. Imagine, he couldn't walk. He did not train. Usually he trains the next day. He did not train the next day. He went on the bike for 20 minutes. His coach told him to get off because he couldn't anymore. 2 hours before the start of the final, Tony Nadal had to give him a speech. He was like, Rafa, you're not going to feel better in 2 hours. You're not going to feel better. You're going to feel the same. You're going to be as stiff, and it's about you. You're either going to find the urge to fight. You might never get another chance to compete for an Australian Open trophy, and you're here now. You might as well leave everything you have on court. Lo and behold, God's magic. This man does unbelievable things. The adrenaline kicks in. He breaks Federer in the first game of the match. He finds a way to get himself in the match. And then, of course, he takes out Roger, who was at the time the king of Australia. This was pre-Djokovic owning Australia. Yeah. He takes out the king of Australia. He owns him. He dominates the tournament. He lifts the Australian Open trophy. We have the dramatic trophy celebration where Roger's crying because now, essentially, Rafa's taken everything from he's beaten him in Roland Garros to he obliterated him. He beats him at Wimbledon, and now he took Australia from him. The guy's overwhelmed with emotion. He wanted the 14th Grand Slam. Rafa told him, no, not today. Australia is mine this year. Just amazing story. Just amazing. Just this is Rafa. This is who Rafa is. This is his legacy.
That match, that was, I think, the only match where I was cheering against Rafa, because Verdasco is actually my favorite player of all time. Rafa's my second favorite player of all time. So that's where I was a bit sad. But also because Verdasco is playing amazing, and then I was like, Rafa, come on, man. Like, you can maintain this level. My guy's playing the best match of his life. Give him the win.
It was so amazing.
And then I think we were all watching that match, and we're like, whoever wins this match, they're going to get smacked in the final. Yeah. And then obviously because
they go post 5 hours. Yeah. It was more than 5 hours.
I think 5 hours and 15 minutes, 5 hours, 14 minutes.
How are you supposed to go into play in a day and a half?
Yeah. And then he came back and beats Roger in 5 sets.
Just another casual 5 against the greatest hardcore player at the time.
One of the best, obviously one of the best well-rounded players of all time. Just easy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
But if we have some honor, we have so many matches though. But we want to give an honorable mention. Haroon, I think you had this one, and you were talking about Roland Garros 2008.
RG 2008 also representing 2008 year. that was crazy. Yeah. Like I said earlier, when I was saying, growing up, I would see Rafa just destroy Roger. That was one of the memories. Like. Everybody's saying Roger is one of the best players of all time.
Even the outfit causes me trauma to see Roger's outfit from that tournament.
Everybody kept on saying. I
loved watching Roger play in Roland Garros because he would lose to Rafa. I just loved it.
And I hated. That's why I root against Rafa. That's why I didn't like playing Rafa.
I grew up seeing everybody saying Roger's the best. Roger's the best, and then I watch him. He gave him
6-1.
He's getting eaten. What is this?
It was 6-3.
For us at the time, if someone says, "Okay, Roger's the best," but then all we see him is lose to Rafa. How's this guy the best? If you show me no stats, you just show me. I just watch the TV as a kid. I look at the TV. I see Rafa winning, Roger losing. Rafa winning, Roger losing.
Yeah. What did you give him? You gave him 6-3, 6-1, 6-love in that final. He gave him a breadstick and a bagel in the Roland Garros final. Who's the greatest player at the time? Roger.
It was awesome to see.
And he also sealed it with an a forehand unforced error as well, just in cross court that went out.
And also go ahead, Aru.
No, I'm just saying, like, is this your champion? No disrespect to Roger.
He was my champion. But other than that, also, I just want to make mention of the time, because in 2022, you mentioned the iconic match against Medi. He plays Medvedev again in the ATP finals. And he was up. Medi was up again in the final set. He was up 5-1. And I was like, no way. like Medvedev is going to get revenge. I'm happy for Medvedev. At least he can
yeah.
get some closure off that traumatic, Australian Open final.
Yeah.
No, 5-1. He's down 5-1. Rafa double breakdown, comes back. How can you do that? That's not normal. You don't come back. Like, you do it to the men twice. Rafa could have gave it to him even just out of honor. Just like, you took Australia, just leave the man. That's not real. This man's not real. He's a walking legend.
I think this couples perfectly with I think the last thing we want to talk about when it comes to Rafa.
Yeah, so I think just to wrap up, today's conversation about Rafa is just, the Rafa mentality is something that's going to leave us all as tennis fans touched forever. And I wanted to know, what does the Rafa mentality mean to you, and what do you think stands out the most when you think about the Rafa mentality?
Oh my God, that's maybe one of the toughest questions to answer. But to me, I go back to one iconic clip when Rafa was 14, when he won that Le Petit A tournament where all these young up and coming players are playing, and he won the tournament. And they asked him, "How do you feel? What does this mean to you?" And he's like, "Yeah, it means nothing. I have to continue working. I have to keep working on myself because there's so many players that won this tournament and they don't go on to become great players. So this means, how could he be 14 years old? How old was he? How old was he? 14, 12, like in that range. And then he says like, yeah, so if I actually want to be a great player, I have to keep working. I have to improve. Amazing. And there's so much to work on. When I was 14, if I won a tournament, I'm gonna ask this. First, I want a McDonald's Happy Meal probably, and I want some ice cream. I want everyone to get me all the gifts I want. Nope, he's thinking, I need to work. I need to continue to work, and if I actually want to achieve my dreams. So that's the Rafa mentality right there to me. If that sums it up.
I love it. I love the Rafa mentality. Haroon, what about you?
It has to be, his fighting spirit. That's always been the strongest thing that he gives off when I watch him. Like, he always fights. He handles every single point like the next one. He doesn't, have any outbursts that much, and he doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't throw the racket, or he doesn't cry. He doesn't scream. He doesn't do any shenanigans, and he's just playing the same point, the same way. Just the consistency, the discipline, and maintaining also the same passion. That also you don't need to have. Well, you don't always have to have like a normal person has to have a high and a low and everything. He's just showing you that, no, you can just keep the passion and just keep it there and keep on going. And even if you lose, you just, pick yourself up and you try again. And it's okay to lose as long as you play the right way and as long as you do everything that you can. And if you lose, you lose. But you left it all on the court, and that applies to anything in life and applies to, your studies, your work, and your relationships you have. You just try your best and you do everything with passion, and you let
the man transcends sport. He's beyond sport. He's an icon of the world as a mentally beast.
Yeah. They should teach his lessons everywhere in business and school and everywhere.
100%.
Yeah. Then do you have what, Ismail, any closing remarks?
It's so many things. It's the fighting spirit where every point you treat it the same, whether it's match point, whether it's the first point of the match. He fought till his last tennis breath in the Davis Cup. You felt like he's giving it his all.
He gave us everything.
He gave us everything. The humility to never be above anyone, regardless of what your achievements are on the court, and to treat everyone with respect. The accountability that Rafa showed. He never blamed outside conditions. He wouldn't blame. He takes full accountability on the court, trying to solve problems on the court, to adjust his opponents. Always gives credit to his opponents if they are victorious, and doesn't provide excuses, right? He's just always ready to own up to whatever is needed, and he was ready to take victory. The courage, the bravery, the tenacity, the humanity, it's all these amazing things that Rafa is going to leave us with. And I think he will forever represent that humility, that fighter mentality for years and years of athletes beyond. And we're so lucky to have watched him. It was so fun to watch you, Rafa. We're gonna miss you on court, and it's just I wish I cherished it more because you know I didn't understand how I'd never see this again. You never thought Rafa was out. You never. I'm telling you, Rafa was on his back legs. You never thought this man was out, and you knew he was gonna give it his all. Just amazing. Just amazing. What a career. Just a joy. Just a joy to watch. Goodbye to my childhood. That's officially ends my childhood. There are no more athletes left on the planet who I used to watch as a kid. That's it. For me, it ends with Rafa.
We've had the discussion about Rafa, and it's been a sad week overall. But we got to talk about all his accomplishments and what he means to us. So it has been happy in a way. So I guess to get our juices flowing once again, we heard some crazy news yesterday. The biggest headline maybe I've seen in forever, maybe in all of sports.
Awesome.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Wait. Andy Murray.
What?
Like Djokovic
in the
announced.
world?
And
What?
Djokovic is sound. You can't let me get through this.
What?
So people that don't know.
That is the craziest thing that ever happened. I've never seen anything crazier in tennis.
For the people that do not know, I know we're all super excited about this piece of information. Andy Murray will become Novak Djokovic's coach in 2025.
What in the world is happening? That is crazy. That is crazy.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Good.
What do you guys think of this?
Andy Murray. Andy Murray is my favorite player. Andy, there he is. There's Muzzy. Andy Murray is my favorite player, you can still arguing, but it's probably I don't know. That's a discussion for another time. The numbers undisputed GOAT, Djokovic, them teaming up to make a super team.
He's the GOAT. No numbers.
What?
He's the GOAT.
Well,
he's the GOAT.
Fine.
Keep going.
I didn't want to do that, but yeah, he is the GOAT. But so you have the GOAT and also another member of the Big Four joining forces together. That was I saw Jim Courier, by the way, say in an interview, that's going to be telling whether Djokovic is going to add a coach, to his team to see also where his motivation lies. And now he's added Murray. What in the world has happened? That's crazy. Super excited. I have no idea how the dynamic is going to be like, if Djokovic is going to scream at him or something in a heated point, but it's going to be fun to see. What's you guys?
So crazy. I when I saw it, I genuinely thought it was April's Fools. I thought it was some kind of joke. I'm like, it's not April. It's not April. There's no April's Fools. I had to watch it. I was like,
it's November.
What in the world? Did Djokovic really just get Murray as Coach Andy Murray? This is so cool. Crazy. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in the history of tennis. We've seen some cool player-coach combos. We've never seen something like this. It's never happened so quick after a player retires. Paul Annacone, he immediately retired, became Sampras' coach. That's not even close. Paul Annacone was not a top player. This is one of the greatest players of all time, going to be in the box of the GOAT. What in the world?
If you told me go back to being a kid and just imagine, just make up any dream, make up any story, make up anything. I probably wouldn't even, this is so make-believe to me. I wouldn't even write this down. Andy Murray becomes Djokovic's. I wouldn't even think of it. It's crazy. It's beyond my imagination. So when this actually happens, I just want to see it. I just want to see it. Both of them just walking together in the different complexes. Just seeing him in his box. It's gonna be interesting and dynamic. But I want to see this. But if you actually think of it, who best to be in your box than the guy who probably faced you so many times and knows all your weaknesses. So he knows where you can improve and he knows where to push and where not to push. I think this is an amazing matchup.
It's going to be perfect. I think it's going to be awesome. Also, someone who knows his opponents. He knows Alcaraz. He knows Sinner.
Yeah.
Murray's one of the smartest minds in the history of tennis. He
knows him. He knows him.
And he knows him, and he's a tennis guy. Murray was just trying all the different racket tensions, all the different racket types.
And he's watching tennis all the time.
He's watching. He's addicted to the game. He's all in. He knows exactly. He's going to be as crazy about the details as Djokovic is. Yeah. It's going to be a crazy matchup. And I think no one's going to want to face a Djokovic with Murray in his corner. tactically adjusting to, I think Sinner and Alcaraz can now be worried. This is the exact move to get Djokovic's energy up. I cannot wait for the Australian Open. It's going to be awesome.
It's just so cool to see them. It's just so cool to see them together. Like
it's cool. It's cool. And happy to know Murray's not going away. We're losing Rafa, but Murray's like, yeah, I'm gone, but I'm back.
I'm back.
But yeah, Murray
and Djokovic captioned, he never liked retirement anyway.
Murray didn't get a proper goodbye, in my opinion, because he's too good of a player to go out so quickly, and then he was overshadowed by a lot of other events. But nice to see him. He's back. You know what's going to be so funny? Yeah. Imagine that Murray is finally going to, hopefully, knock on wood for Djokovic, finally gets an Australian Open, but as the coach of Djokovic. Imagine.
Yeah, after losing 4 times with him in the final. Maybe 5th time's the charm.
Same guy. Wow.
Imagine
you
that.
can't. That's
Super
why.
cool.
That's why I love sports. You can't write this. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up.
Just an amazing move.
You got me the best script writers in the world. They can't make this up.
Perfect. Just what we needed moving into the new season. It's awesome.
Especially after all this Rafa stuff.
It's awesome, and that means Djokovic back and loaded for 2025.
I can't think of anything actually more exciting that happened. Is there anything crazier that happened like that in any other sport? Any other link-up or matchup like that?
I do not think so.
I don't think so.
I do not think so.
It's awesome.
That's crazy.
That's the perfect piece of information that we needed after that Rafa week.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. Can't wait for 2025.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, I just want to say Rafa week was emotional, and a piece of our childhood, like you said, you feel like something inside you died. So it's sad to see Rafa go. We tried to talk about the greatness of Rafa as best as we could, and we hope you guys enjoyed this. To some people, Roger was tennis. To someone like me, Rafa was tennis, and we're gonna miss him so much. And that's our episode.
Well said,
we hope you guys enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be talking about the Davis Cup. We're going to wrap up the season. But this had to be all Rafa because we had to give this man the tribute that he deserves. We hope you guys enjoy the episode. Please give us feedback. Tell us what you think and share with us some of the amazing stories that you have about Rafa. It's been an amazing ride. And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for watching.
Gracias, Rafa.
See you guys next week.
Rafael, mejor.
Thank you guys. Gracias, Rafa.
Gracias, Rafa.
El Matador. Rafa, the legend. Look at that bicep.
Have a good night. Good night. Good night. Very good night.